Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, here at the Centennial Olympic Park. Welcome to my channel. Atlanta, Georgia is the vanguard of the South. It is the enduring leader of the South. It boasts 3 skyscrapers here in downtown, behind me, in Midtown, and in Backhead. Now watch this. YOLO. You only live once. 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 Greetings here in downtown Atlanta, Georgia at the Centennial Summer Olympic Park. Behind me is the famous Olympic rings. The 5 Olympic rings symbolizes the Olympic motto, Citius, Altius, Fortius in Latin, which means in English, faster, higher, stronger, as the motto for the athletes competing for world excellence and champion. This 22 acres of land was built before the Summer Olympic Games as the Centennial for the Olympic Games celebration. In 1996, it cost this project at around 28 million US dollars, and after the completion of the project, it costs another 15 million dollars to complete this Centennial Park of 1.2 mile long. Behind me are the flames of fire used during the 1996 Centennial Olympic Games, the Summer Olympic Games. Atlanta, Georgia started as a railroad hub by the Western and Atlantic in 1837, and in 1843 it was renamed Terminus because the railroad in the north ends here in the south. By 1847 it was renamed Atlanta from the feminine word of Atlantic, the Atlantic Ocean nearby. During the 1861, before the Civil War, it became the hub of railroad and sprawling business in the South. In 1864, to block the transportation to the north from the South by the Union General Sherman, Atlanta was in ruins. 2/3 of its homes were burned to the ground, and the railroad system was destroyed by the Union Army of President Abraham Lincoln. Atlanta is proud of its native Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s and 1960s. Atlanta continues to endure as the leader of the South and minority rights. Let us walk through the Centennial Olympic Park, home of the 1996 Summer Olympic Games, here in Atlanta, Georgia. Come and let us see what's inside this park. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Thank you to my more than 2,000 subscribers. YOLO, you only live once. Behind me is the Fountain of Rings here at the Centennial Olympic Park here in Atlanta, Georgia. Behind me is the famous skyscrapers here in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. The Centennial Olympic Park is the most famous and most visited place here in Atlanta. The other places here to visit is World of Coca-Cola Museum, the largest park called the Piedmont Park, and of course the 3 bustling skyscrapers behind me of downtown Atlanta, the bustling skyscraper in Midtown Atlanta, and the bustling skyscraper in Backhead, Atlanta. Behind me is the monument commemorating Baron Pierre de Coubertin, founder of the modern Olympic Games. Atlanta is home to 572,522 residents and more than 5.3 million residents across the Metro Atlanta. The Olympic Park has a size of 22 acres of land, and 1.2 miles walking through the whole park. Atlanta was proud to host the Centennial 1996 Summer Olympic Games that was marred by the 1997 bombing here, and it caused for the authorities to put up metal detectors and extensive body searches to avoid such plans again. But it never stopped people all around the world to compete for sportsmanship and agility and excellence in their own fields of expertise in sports. Let us look back at this park over the ages and over the years and decades. It is still a well-maintained park. Shout out to Dr. Jubil Yorka, my former classmate in special education at University of Makati. Thank you for subscribing and keeping watching my vlog. Dr. Jubil Yorka, my comadre, my kumare, and to my goddaughter. Behind me is the Fountain of Rings and the famous Ferris wheel overlooking the whole city of downtown Atlanta, Georgia during night time. It will cost you $20 per ride to see the most beautiful sight and view of downtown Atlanta at night. Come here and ride the wheel here in Centennial Olympic Park. Behind me is the Centennial Olympic Games marker commemorating the 100 years of modern Olympic Games in history, and carved in the black marble wall are the organizers and winners and donors of the 1996 Summer Olympic Games. And if you will see, the floor made from bricks, the names of all the athletes who compete in the Olympics throughout the ages, throughout the years, carved in this floor made out from bricks. These are the athletes who compete in the summer 1996 Olympic Games. Behind me is the famous marker of the Centennial 100 years. The number 100 carved here represents a major achievement in the Olympic Games legacy. It marks the 100th anniversary of the modern Olympic Games. The city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia were especially proud to host the Olympics in 1996, 100 years after the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece in 1896. As we celebrate 20 years since its opening in 1996 and the future of the park for generations to come, the names etched on the adjacent granite monument recognize the women and men who made significant contributions to the legacy of Centennial Olympic Park. So, also here, additional names of the contestants of the Summer Olympic Games through the ages and years is carved in this magnificent architectural marble here in Atlanta, Georgia, Centennial Olympic Park. All their names are here. The year they compete is year 1976. And their names are here. The center lining, this white, carved with the number 100 means centennial. So the modern Olympics celebrated its centennial year here in Atlanta, Georgia. So it started in 1896, the year 1970. I remember when I watching CNN and CNN behind me, way back in the Philippines, Atlanta hosted this event and paid the high price of the most expensive bid in the World Olympic Committee. Now, we are here. It's a dream come true to be here at the Atlanta Centennial Summer Olympic Park. Greetings here in downtown Atlanta, Georgia at the Centennial Olympic Park. YOLO, You only live once.